Dana Scruggs. So there's a link to a commission from, I think it was the New York Times Magazine, could be wrong, that this work from Dana Scruggs is in. If you look at the rest of her work, it is not usually like this. This is stuff that she did, self-portraits she did during quarantine. She does a lot of like super beautiful, amazing, like fashiony, advertorially kind of stuff. Like really, really good in Brooklyn. And these images, when you read the text that she had along with it, these images are very, they're very personal, I think, obviously. But they seem like they were something that was like, something that helped her get through being cut off, right? Something that helped her get through feeling unmoored in a way, right? Because of coronavirus, everything shutting down, being sort of stuck in her apartment, all the anxiety that goes along with all of those things. They're very intense pictures. They're very beautifully done, right? There's like, art historical precedent that's going in here, right? Like little moments, right? Like the dog, the light. If you go look up Monet's Olympia, right, you'll sort of see things in here that are echoes of it compositionally, the way that this big, whatever the hell that is like, I guess it's a banana leaf, right? It's coming swooping in here, right? Like this open space, the way that her figure is defined against that like cream-colored sofa and wall, like really, really well done photograph. Right, this one, right, there's sort of this awkwardness of the body, right, of the camera in this kind of, central, I'm going to go ahead and symbolically put all this shit in there, right? This like, giving birth to the camera kind of position, right? Where the camera is sort of like, where your stomach would be sticking out, right? If you were pregnant. There is a way that her body is sort of coming in, right, around that camera that gives it prominence, that she's looking out but not necessarily at us. This facial expression, this awkwardness, right? Being in the bathroom, right? Being in a state of undress, right? Having, like this sort of like very basic head wrap, right? Like all of this stuff that makes it feel very vulnerable. Like these are photographs that are not what she normally does, and they feel like they were necessary or important to make. And I think that comes through in a lot of the self-portraiture work, right? Like the intensity of what's going on in the images is something that your viewer, maybe not always, maybe not accurately, right? But I think that in a lot of these, your viewer is meant to feel that, to see that, to understand that. I think that's something that's, for example, is missing from Cindy Sherman, who I hate. I mean, that's strong. I dislike. Again, beautifully composed, beautifully set up, right? The sort of like the backside of her here, the darkness of the figure kind of like disappearing into the edge of the frame, the way that then is framing her reflection beyond, right? This great light that's on her figure there that pulls her out of the background. This little moment over here of like nature creeping in through the window. They are very conscientious in the composition, I think, but they also don't feel sort of stilted or formal. There is an immediacy to them. Jen Davis, also, oh my God, beautiful light. Jen Davis is someone who has made a whole body of work sort of looking at the self, looking at the body that she is in, sort of navigating how she is seen, how she sees herself. A lot of writing out there about Jen's work. Look it up. They're also incredibly beautiful photographs, right? I mean, there is, the color, the light, the softness of the light, the precision of the composition that she's made, right? They're really gorgeous, and there is part of the whole thing, right? Is that juxtaposition of this incredible beauty of the image with a female body that is not typically put in pictures as being beautiful, right? Yeah, they're so good. This one again, right? This beautiful light, the color, the green of the wall, the orange of the oranges. That second figure back there. You do have sort of markers of, you know, I don't know. I want to say like kind of like a New Englandy beauty to it, right? I don't know if that's just because of that's the next photographer, 2 photographers down the line. But again, amazing use of color. Probably the strongest, to me, use of color that we've seen in these so far. Right, this orange, right, the blue stripe. You know, again, this door, these little like moments of looking through. Right, the question of whether the subject meets your eye, as Dana Scruggs did, or here is looking off at something somewhere else. You know, whether that, how that affects our relationship to the person, right? If we feel ourselves looking in or we feel ourselves being seen in the act of looking. But again, incredibly beautiful, great light, great color, great tone. There's this fantastic sort of like, you know, sort of conquering, you know, Napoleon kind of like sexual conquest thing in this, which again, I think is fantastic. You know, then this picture, right, there's sort of an anxiety in it. Again, worthwhile thinking about how she took this as a self-portrait, right? Like we have this moment of looking at the picture, but then, you know, how did the picture come to be? To what degree are we then aware of it being constructed? To what degree is it constructed? Jessica Todd Harper. So if you look at this picture, hold this in your mind, or you can go get the fucking PDF of it, whatever, and then go back to this picture. This is why I think I was like New Englandy shit, right? Because Jessica Todd Harper's work is very much this sort of like upper crusty New Englandy thing, right? Maybe she's not from New England. I don't fucking know. But hold this one in your mind again now. We'll jump forward to Jessica Todd Harper. So also, right, very beautiful, very aesthetic, but all the people who are in it are kind of the people that we expect to be aestheticized, right? They're sort of like nice looking, traditionally attractive, upper, middle, lower, upper, whatever, New Englandy white people, right? You know, again, beautiful, right? It's family based, about personal experience. But I'm gonna say I'm kind of bored with it, you know. And it's like, oh, it's my sister. She's cute. Got a poodle. Got some beautiful light. There's my sister again. We're here in our like cottage or whatever. I don't know, you know, and maybe that's not fair on my part, right? Like making these images of her experience. Maybe the fact that her experience is like, you know, moderately fancy, New Englandy, waspy looking shit, right? Like that's is what it is, right? Like they are beautiful images. They are well made. It is her looking at her own story, talking about the things that she's experiencing. But, you know, I mean, she's very nice. I've met her. She's great. But whatever. Anyway, right? Like, more awesome fucking work. So I don't know how to pronounce her name either. Ayu, I don't know. Go look on the website. Click through the links. Google her. Right? Not a lot of people with her name. Her work is hilarious, right? Is it meant to be hilarious? I think that it is meant to be something that brings her joy in like the way that she works with these objects, the way that she puts them in these strange juxtapositions. There's sort of like a, I think there's an inescapable hilarity, right? I think it is impossible for these images not to make one smile, right? There's a deadpanness to her that is like, right, that is also kind of great, right? That it sets up this juxtaposition where you're like, am I allowed to laugh? Am I laughing at her? You're like, I don't know. She put herself in this like crazy fucking thing with these like boob pantyhose things, right? Like, how can you not laugh at this? Right? Like, and we sort of recognize a lot of the things that are going on too, right? Like, she is, again, right? Big fat woman, right? And she is working with these sort of traditional, I guess this is the arm that's in the picture, traditional food things, right? She has one where she's like sitting on the bed with like a hot dog in her crotch, right? It's great. You know, and I sort of like Arno Mikkonen, and I'm not just making a connection because their names are Scandinavian and I can't pronounce them. But there is a humor and a level of comfort with the body as a performative object that is not super serious like Copeland's was, that I think is really appealing. Whoops, sorry, I made her go sideways. Right? There's like, it's unsettling though, right? I feel like Jen Davis's work is not unsettling. Jen Davis's work, again, to me, like, fuck am I? You know, it's beautiful. It is poetic. This work is earthier, right? It is slightly less lofty, floating among the clouds, right? There is more likely to be snot in this picture, right? There is like, it is, the body is more real to me in a way in these photographs, right? And I think that the humor is perhaps part of that, right? You cannot, it is harder to be elegant and fancy and make a fart joke, right? Like, there is a sort of like a lowbrowness in the work that I really appreciate. I mean, maybe that's me. That's so fucking good. They're braids of bread. Come on.